Calling to order the June 20th Committee of the Whole, Revere School Committee meeting, 6 p.m. is the time. We'll all rise and salute the flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you call the roll, Mr. Gould?
Mrs. Bronson-Rizzo?
Here.
Mr. Ferranti?
Here.
Mr. Kingston?
Here.
Mrs. Milbury-Ellis?
Present.
Miss Monterosso?
Present.
Miss Ty?
Here.
Acting Mayor Keefe?
Here. First item up is recognition. We have the school committee student representative, Miss Eleni Lopez de Jesus. Eleni?
Unfortunately, Elnie couldn't be with us today. She has the busiest life of anyone I've ever met. But we wanted to say thank you to her for 2 years sitting here with us and bringing us all the information from the high school and also from the middle schools. And you know what? Right now, she has a great internship with Senator Lydia Edwards, and I couldn't ask for anyone better than to mentor that young lady. So from the school committee to Elnie, we appreciate everything she's done, and we look forward to what she's going to do in her future. So we'll get her gift to her somehow, some way. Thank you.
Thank you. In the next award, this is going to the RHS Poet Laureate. I'll just say a brief word, and I know that Ms. Ty would like to say some things, but I've had the opportunity just real recently to meet this young woman this year, and extremely impressed. Member of our school, a young student that, again, I'm always amazed when we get to meet some of these young students and see how active they are and how outspoken and well-spoken they are. So I know Ms. Ty has some even greater words.
Actually, Mr. Mayor, we should all stand up for
Absolutely.
her. I first met her when she won a writing award, and I knew then when I saw her and I saw the quality of her writing that she was certainly going to be a star, and she has continued to be throughout the high school in so many different ways. Would you come forward, Erda?
So I know everyone has a little something to say, but it is being awarded to Erta Ismaili.
I'll keep adding to the
Ms.
accolades.
Monterosso.
Thank you, Mayor. I couldn't be more proud of this young leader and the light and leadership that she brings into every room and conversation. I frankly wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't also for her leadership and initiative. So I'm just excited to see what's ahead of her and to continue supporting her and our other young leaders and all their hopes and dreams for our city.
Nicely said.
Nice. Okay. Well, congratulations, Erta. Well deserved. Thank you. I'm sure we'll be hearing that name quite often over the next few years. The next item is the MASC President's Scholarship. Ms. Rizzo.
Thank you, Chair. Every year, the Massachusetts School Committees allows the president to give a $1,000 scholarship to a student. This year, I am lucky to be that president and honored to give this award. This award is the Roberta Darwin Scholarship. I can't even speak. Roberta worked in Springfield and served as a swimming instructor. She was also a 20-year member of the YMCA Board of Directors. She was a longtime Agawam resident, renowned for her work as a physical education teacher, advocacy for children, public education, the arts, the health and fitness, and was the first elected Agawam School Committee in January and the longest-running school committee member in the state of Massachusetts. Ms. Finn, our guidance counselor, has helped me look at different students in different aspects. Plus, there's always Google, which I use all the time. I am proud to give this scholarship to a young lady who we have seen on the swim team, who I believe, if not, is still going off to SSU, I hope. And also, Ms. Melberry Ellis and myself got to see her artwork at a variety of events. So this young lady is definitely someone that I know Roberta would be very proud to have her scholarship. Samantha Stevens, would you please come up here? Samantha, also, if you could just tell everyone a little bit about yourself, that would be great. Just a little. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Yeah. Hi, so I am Samantha Stevens. I'm gonna be going to Salem State University, majoring in secondary education and English. I don't know what to. I'm super into art. I'm very nervous. Thank you. My parents are in the crowd.
Congratulations to you.
Mom, Dad, and my little brother. They really helped me through a lot of stuff, and I'm glad to have them.
Thank you. And I'm just going to ask Michael to take a picture so I can send it to the state.
Yes, absolutely. We'll hold the spot for you.
All right, you gotta give me a big smile. One more.
There you go.
Excellent.
Thank you. Congratulations. The next item is the 2023 retirements. Scully?
Thank you, actually, Mayor Keefe, and I want to thank Committeewoman Rizzo, who put this together for us in collaboration with Rosanna Digitali, who helped share some names. And of course, now my little link isn't working. What the heck? Here we go. Nope. It's not letting me in, Stacy. Let me try for my email. No, it's not that. It's now saying that I need access, even though it worked.
It worked earlier?
Yeah. Oh, do you have it without?
Don't scare me. I'm not technology.
Yeah, I had that one. I already tried that one, Richie. Sorry. Oh. No, he sent me a link that I had already put in the file, but it's not letting me open the link. Let me try this.
think it might. Is that access to it?
Did you send access? So how about those Red Sox? Can you just make it open and then you can close it back up in like 5 minutes?
Anyone technology savvy here?
See, I'm in a different Google account, so it's not,
You can just download it and send it to the dashboard.
yeah.
And that's what I did earlier, and it opened for her. Okay, you should ask for it again. Open.
Okay. And then how do you give access?
Do we move on to the consent calendar, right?
Yeah, maybe we can come back to this at the end of the meeting. Okay.
So item number 3, we're going to vote on the consent calendar.
Richie, let Richie help you.
So this was earlier brought to our attention that one of the motions by Madam Rizzo may have been inaccurate, correct? But it'll be corrected, so we're voting on the consent calendar with the corrected version. All in favor? Roll call. So I'll call the names. Madam Rizzo? All in fa-
Yes.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mr. Kingston?
Yes.
Ms. Aisha Milbury Ellis?
Yes.
Ms. Ty?
Yes,
Ms. Monteroso?
Yes.
Mr. Keefe? Yes. Approved. The next item, student representative report. Do we not have a student representative today?
Yep, we have two.
Okay, great. Oh. Come on up.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Raihan Ahmed, and this is Salsabel Mendoza. And just before we even start, I have student representatives where it's a separate thing this entire year until the last meeting of Student Senate where we decided to merge. And so student representative or student advisory board as a whole will not be a part of Student Senate. With that note, as this will be our last student representative meeting of the school year, we wanted to highlight some of the things that the students of RHS have achieved throughout the year. So, in terms of the athletics, Revere Athletics had a great season with some great achievements. And so some of the season highlights were 10 teams qualified for the MIAA state tournament, 6 teams were JBL champs, and the outdoor track 4x400 relay team qualified for the Nike Nationals in Oregon. And then several other athletes were also honored as league all-stars, and many also broke school records. And on that note, the track team also placed 3rd overall after leading for most of the races in the Nike Nationals, and they also beat their own school record by 2 seconds, finishing in 3 minutes and 27.82 seconds. So congratulations to all athletes.
I couldn't find it to seconds in your application.
Sorry.
Right. And then now on to Student Senate. Again, Student Senate concluded its 2022-2023 season on Monday, June 12th. And some of the committee highlights are as follows. So student staff, we gathered gathered data on some issues that both students and teachers feel strongly about. And then moving forward, so next year, our goal is to implement a possible solution with the help of administrators and school committee members. And then mental health committee, they were primarily working on building a website as part of their collection of websites that RPS already has. And this website will be focused on providing students all across the district with mental health resources. And then moving on, they'll be brainstorming for some new projects to bring to life. And then we have the Engagement on School Spirit Committee. And so they hosted the senior send-off event. And then they also completed a few murals around the school and are continuing to work on more. And then they will also be providing students with community service during the Summer Bridge program to get them started early on as they paint more murals. And then school schedules, community members have been working on scheduling issues, but due to time constraints, they were not able to meet their goals. They plan on continuing their work over the summer, and they will also be working alongside the engagement committee to help with the murals. And then we have some photos and also a video that we created for Teacher Appreciation Week, which I don't believe we can play, but yep. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's all right. But we did also create a video thanking all the teachers and everyone that has been supporting us this entire year over Teacher Appreciation Week. So that's that video. And then we have an example of the mural, and then the student send-off, our Instagram page, and also the protest that the Student Senate led. And then I will pass it on to the newly elected junior representative, Salsabel Mendoza, to tell you guys all about the club highlights.
Good evening, everyone. So basically, coming from our student showcase, alongside our underclassmen awards, we had 40 presenters and around 15 clubs present at our showcase, and here are some of our highlights. For Speech and Debate, Speech and Debate was able to send their member Susie Nicholas to Louisiana in order to compete for nationals and was placed top 50 in national tournaments. In Feminist Empowerment Movement, they were able to install free menstrual products, dispensaries around the school in bathrooms, and allow accessibility for students, and have also planned to expand this to other bathrooms in Revere along with other places besides the school. In student demand actions, they have raised awareness on gun violence. Walking into the school, you might have seen their Soul Box project, which is now displayed at the front main entrance and also at other parts of the school. And each box represents a life that has been lost to gun violence. The North African Student Association has also held a henna fundraiser and prayer rug drive. And within the next year, hopes to hold cultural performances. And Neutron's 125 was able to place second place in World Finals, and they will also run summer camps for interested middle school students. And I believe we have some photos from our student showcase on the next slide. And these are some of the other clubs, and basically this was a time where clubs and other students around the school were able to showcase what they have been doing, have accomplished this year, along with several other interests this year. Thank you.
Dr. Galucci is going to get one of the sets of the Soul Boxes, just so everybody can see them.
Perfect, yeah. And then on the top left of this slide, you can see all of our hard worked up physics project that no one looked at, unfortunately. We spent a lot of time on those, but it's all good. It's been, physics has been really fun. So if you are a rising junior and if you're looking into getting into AP Physics, you should definitely do it. I'm not sure if anyone's watching, but if you are. So are we just going to wait for it?
I know what you said right
No, are we waiting for Dr. Galucci to come back with the...
Sure.
He should be back in 1 second.
Ms. Monterosso has a question.
Yes. While we wait, you mentioned how students and staff work to gather data on issues. Now they're going to work on proposed solutions. Is that going to be shared with the school committee at some point?
So currently we will not be releasing any data, mainly because we did collect some information that can be easily tracked down to teachers, and we don't necessarily want that to happen because our form did say that we would like all data to be within the school committee. And so when we do come up with a solution, that's when we will be presenting it to the school committee.
Great. Mr. Galucci has the,
So I can jump in and explain if you want. This is one of 5 panels that we have of soul boxes, which there's a box for each individual soul that one of our students knew who lost their life to gun violence. And they are on display. We're having some trouble with them staying up, which is why this one is down. But they're on display in the main lobby of the high school just to make sure that everybody is aware of the brutality and the heartbreak that is surrounded by gun violence. And the kids individualize them, obviously, for the people that they love.
Sorry, just quickly, I'm the Vice Chair of Student Senate. The person that's in charge of this initiative and club is Belma Velik. She is a sophomore. I have classes with her, and she's also in charge of the Cards for Kids Club as well. And I just want to commend her for all the amazing work she's done. This club wasn't, a club beforehand, and she started this up this year, has been really leading it to fruition. And I feel like she's really fighting for a lot of the concerns that we as students have, and I just wanted to shout her out for her amazing work.
So with that concludes the last student representative meeting of the school year. We would like to thank all teachers, administrators, support staff for all their hard work and support for all RHS students and all across the district. Most of the things that we have achieved this year, athletics or it could be clubs, would not have been possible without their continued support, so thank you all. And also a quick congratulations to all the elementary and middle school students on moving on from their respective schools. With that, thank you again, and all the students have a great summer vacation, and all the adults have a great summer. So, thank you.
fantastic. The next item on the agenda is public speak. Anyone wish to speak publicly? Anyone online? Ms. Kelly?
We'll give it 1 second. So
Okay.
far, no hands up.
This is an opportunity for open forum. Okay. Seeing and hearing none, we'll close that. Number 6. Did you want to speak? Sure. Okay. Superintendent report.
Thank you, Acting Mayor Keefe. I'm going to begin the superintendent report with the introduction of our 2 newest principals in the district. I'll start with one of our longtime friends who's been in the Revere Public Schools for over 2 decades, all of her life, really, if you go back to when she started school, right? But Rachel Shanley, as you all know, was recently named the principal of the Wayland Elementary School, and Rachel is here with her family tonight. Before I invite her up to just say a couple of words of welcoming, I'll say that we are very proud. Rachel completed her bachelor's degree in early childhood education at UMass Amherst. She did both her master's degree and her certificate of advanced graduate studies, the master's in early childhood, the KEGS and education leadership, both at Salem State. She has taught grades 1 and 2 at the Lincoln, the Beachmont, and the McKinley for over 2 decades. That was before she became the assistant principal at the Wayland School 2 years ago, and now being promoted to principal. We really look forward to Rachel's leadership, which she displayed all the time throughout her career in Revere. She was a PGT facilitator. She was on our grading practices subcommittee. She worked on the MCIEA and Kaleidoscope deeper learning projects, and she was a mentor to new teachers. So, Rachel, we are so excited to have you. Congratulations, and thank you for taking on this incredible challenge.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kelly, for those kind words. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Dr. Galucci and school committee members. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here with all of you. My education, my time in the RPS started many years ago in 1996. Like Dr. Kelly said, I have a lot of experience in many of the elementary schools. The AC Wayland is the 4th. I have found a home there, and I really have a vision for helping the AC Whalen and building some structure and consistency. The AC Whalen has been through great administrative change over the past 5 years, so we are really looking forward to some consistency and leading with courage, consistency, collaboration as we move forward. So thank you so much. I'm honored to be here in front of all of you. I'm here with my 3 sons that also attend the RPS schools, Rumney and RHS. I have a recent graduate. My mom is here alongside. So thank you to everyone for your support. The Revere Public Schools has been my home for most of my life, and I look forward to taking on the principalship at the AC Whalen.
Madam Rizzo?
I just want to say it was an honor to work with Rachel at McKinley for many years. I always saw this coming. She's grown. She's always had it in her, but I think her confidence has just made her really reach out to do something she is excellent at, and I see nothing but great things happening at Wayland under her administration. And I know even today, talking to some of the parents and some of the staff, they're really looking forward to this. So thank you, Rachel, for taking on this position. Give the girl a raise.
You stop it over there. Good. Okay, next, I would like to introduce somebody who is new to Revere, unlike Rachel, but certainly not new to education. Cassandra Sermon, Cassie, as she likes to be called, is going to be our new principal at the Lincoln Elementary, replacing Sarah Humus. Cassie did her bachelor's degree in elementary education at Oakwood College, and she has a double master's from Long Island University. One master's degree is in school counseling, the other is in urban education. She taught grades 3, 4, and 5 for 11 years in Brooklyn in the New York City Public Schools prior to her return to Massachusetts, where she spent 6 years in Randolph as a guidance counselor and most recently 2 years in Taunton as an assistant principal. Her focus on student and family engagement, on rigor, and on equity align perfectly with the work that we're doing here in Revere. And so we are really excited to have her leadership as a new resource to all of us as we try to get stronger in those areas. So Cassie, we are really proud to have you. Thank you and welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the great introduction. I am extremely excited to be part of your school community. I love education. I love the school already. I love the community that it has, the sense of the school culture. I am a proud product of immigrant parents, so I noticed the large community of English learners there. So I am excited to be part of that because, once again, I'm a product of that. And one of the things for me was my school was my home where I learned English, and I practiced it frequently because my parents didn't speak English at home. So being able to be part of that community, which is a large Hispanic community there, I plan to, focus on that family engagement, bringing that into the building and finding a way to incorporate families in being part of the school. So thank you so much for the welcome. I'm excited to make you guys proud.
And I want to acknowledge Cassie's family, who is here as well.
Can you tell?
Miss Ellis?
I just wanted to thank both Ms. Shanley and Ms. Sermon. You've both said words that I was grateful to hear, structure and consistency and rigor and equity. I just think we can't go wrong with that type of mentality, so I'm looking forward to seeing the great things that both of you do. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Rizzo?
Ms. Sermon, thank you for coming to Revere. I hope your commute is easy. I drive to Taunton every Friday, so I know it's not the easiest route, but we look forward to having you, and we're glad that you're going to be one of our Lincoln Lions over there. So thank you. I look forward to meeting with you.
Thank
We're gonna have to bring you up to the North Shore.
Yes.
Right? All right. Fantastic.
You need to check with her husband first.
He'll come, he's welcome to.
All right, next, I would like to invite up Dr. Mulligan and her team, who are going to present on the work that's been done on City Lab with a focus on their dual enrollment, exploratories, and all of the great new wonderful things that are happening at City Lab.
All right, hi everyone. My name is Chelsea Brandwine Fryer. I'm one of the English teachers at City Lab Innovation High School, and I am so excited to be here tonight to be telling you basically an overview of what our very first year was at City Lab now that we come to the close of our first year. And we'll be, like it was said, we'll be talking about our exploratories and dual enrollment opportunities, and we have some students here who will be elaborating a little bit about those opportunities as well. So here's our mission statement. When we first started envisioning City Lab, we wanted to basically reimagine what the high school experience is and start thinking about a true alternative type of place for students who needed something different than a traditional setting. We really wanted to emphasize our partnerships with the community, and we wanted to focus a lot on high quality early college opportunities and career pathways, especially so our students have this really strong foundation once they graduate and know what they want to do after they leave Revere. So I'm going to be first talking about our exploratories. The image that you're seeing here is one of our exploratories from Q3 with our Artists for Humanity partnership. Artists for Humanity is in South Boston, and our students were actually traveling there once a week to have 2 hours of actual studio experience with artists. Our model is essentially that during their first year at City Lab, students have their exploratory classes for 2 hours in Wednesday afternoons. The picture here is actually from our Legal Seafoods culinary opportunity, which we can thank Acting Mayor O'Keefe for helping us with that partnership. Each quarter, these exploratory opportunities change. So our purpose is that the students will have a multitude of experiences in different fields so they can see what they're interested in, what they like, what skills they actually need in that field so they can start to identify their interests. We've had a really successful partnership with first responders in Revere. These are some students from this past quarter who have been in our first responders exploratory. And we have a really big variety this first year of the exploratory options that we've had. So here's one that we had for a biotech exploratory with Lab Central. We've had an exploratory partnership with something called Zoomix, which is in East Boston, and students have been working on production, podcasts, music. We've had architecture, we've had different makerspace opportunities. So this variety is really to help support those students in figuring out what they're interested in. Because of the smaller class sizes and enrollment that we have at City Lab, we really have this flexibility to cater exactly to what the students are hoping to be involved in. And here's again the Artists for Humanity that we're really excited to say that we have each quarter next year. So students throughout the year will be able to have this exploratory option. And again, our name is City Lab because we really want our students to utilize the city. So moving away from the traditional 4 walls of the classroom, we want them to have hands-on active learning. So this was the Zoomix exploratory that I was talking about in Q4, and they were looking at different production for podcasts. So I'm going to invite up one of our students who's going to talk a little bit about her experiences with our exploratories this year.
Good evening, the student committee. My name is Dulce Aguilar, and I just finished my first year at City Lab. Some of the exploratories that I experienced during my first year was Digital Ready, Makerspace, Cosmetology, Artists for Humanities, and the Cambridge Health Alliance. My 2 favorites out of this whole list of exploratories that I've gone through were Cosmetology and Artists for Humanities. During cosmetology, I learned a lot about, I guess the professional way to do hair. And during FH, it sort of helped me reawaken my interest in painting, which when I was younger I used to do a lot, but I didn't, And I just really enjoyed these classes because not only did they give me a space to sort of do things that I may not have had time to do out of school, it also in general showed me that these things that I can do outside of school and that are hobbies, they can be actual job opportunities for me. And it was nice to see that, and I guess see it be reinforced in school as something that I can do and not just a sort of side hobby.
Nice.
So a little bit of updates from all of those exploratories, and there's a picture of our first responders as well. We had 13 different exploratories throughout this school year. At the end, in the past week, we've been communicating with underclassmen to see what their interests were, so these exploratories can move into a specific pathway for next year and their third and fourth years. And we're also really happy to tell everyone that a bunch of the partners that we had this year are really enthusiastic about continuing with us next year too.
Because Revere has awesome kids.
Exactly.
And teachers.
So shifting a little bit, I'm going to talk about dual enrollment. This is when students can participate in college classes at the same time as high school classes. And we had the opportunity for our students to actually go off campus and go into Boston and actually take college classes. So this is our second cohort of students who were involved in the Benjamin Franklin Cummings Institute of Technology. Our current partners right now are, like I said, Benjamin Franklin. We've had the University of Pittsburgh and UMass Amherst. On the horizon for next year, we are partnering with Roxbury Community College, RCC, and Suffolk University. Some general student reflections that I was able to receive from some of those students who did the BFIT. They really talked about how they were really proud of themselves about the progress that they saw in their writing. They passed their classes that they were taking. They learned something new, especially in their writing skills. And overall, they had a really positive experience. And here to actually talk about their experiences, we have another student to talk about dual enrollment.
Good evening, school committee. My name is Dylan Blaisdell, and I'm a junior at City Lab High School. This year, I took a variety of dual enrollment classes. My favorite was computer science because it was educational, but also a lot of fun. Because of these classes, I feel a lot more prepared for college. I've sometimes noticed seniors getting ready to graduate and not knowing what they want to do or being nervous. And because of these classes that I've been taking, I don't feel that way at all.
Thank you, Dylan.
Can we mention Dylan's credential that he earned already?
Yes. So he's earned a bunch of college credits, I believe over 9 full college credits this past year.
Nice.
I'm sorry, I have to hype Dylan a little bit more. Dylan is really our model for what we want every student to be by the time that they graduate. When Dylan came in, can I tell a little bit about your history? I'm not going to go super deep and embarrass you, but Dylan wasn't loving school. He was super quiet and not feeling like high school was really for him anymore. He was kind of just floating through. Whatever personal issues he was facing, it was impacting his school performance every day. Dylan needed what we have as the non-traditional high school. He came in and he just dug in. We never see Dylan, which is, we're like, where's Dylan? Where's he in? But he's in classes everywhere, all over the city. He finished way before everybody else, and he's already enrolled in the summer program there.
Nice.
The reports that we often get from Dylan on the computer science side is he is a computer science whiz. He is super, you wouldn't know it, but he's super chatty and sociable when he's with his people over there. But, I mean, Dylan is really on track to graduate much sooner than he should. We don't want him to leave. We want Dylan to stay with us forever, but this is what we hoped when we formed this school, that kids like Dylan that didn't typically love school would find this place that they just flourished. And he really has been the City Lab student that we want for all kids. So I just had to hype you a little bit more, Dylan,
Yes.
because
Yes.
we are really so proud of what he has become and how he will be the model moving forward.
So to wrap us up, basically some updates with the dual enrollment. We had a 95% pass rate. At this time when we created this slideshow, which was a little over a week ago, we had a total of 67 college credits that have been earned by City Lab students, which I know is actually higher at this time. And we're very excited to share with everyone that we officially received designation from DESE for a biotechnology pathway launching this fall. So students will be able to start with an exploratory and pathway, and throughout their 4 years with us, they'll be taking college classes with Roxbury Community College. And once they graduate with this pathway, they'll be able to go into a job and start earning $65K right out of high school. And on top of that, if they would like to go to college right away, they're going to be immediately accepted to Northeastern. So through this pathway, we're going to be receiving $75,000 to $100,000 in implementation funding for our year one launch. And then outside of this, within the past week since we sent in this slideshow, we actually just presented a grant application to a clean energy innovation career pathway. So this would be new. It will allow high school students to get applied hands-on learning opportunities in the renewable energy sector, which is a really growing high demand industry in Massachusetts. So we just submitted this grant application last Thursday, and we're really hoping to have this pathway moving forward with exploratories to support it too.
I'm not going to stay too long. I just wanted to thank you all tonight for having us here. I remember presenting in the fall and really presenting to you a vision of what we hoped would happen this year, and basically being like, just believe in us, it'll be good. I promise it'll be good. So to be here in June on the last day of school and truly having done all this hard work, and I did not do this alone. I have an amazing staff that is really driving all of this work. And I couldn't do this without them. So, and of course the kids. But I really have to give a huge shout out to the city of Revere for partnering with us in all different ways. When we started this, we had only partnerships with private industry, and the city really believed in us and stepped up and came through in the biggest way. I have to give it up for Revere Fire, Revere Police, Cataldo, EMTs, Suffolk County Sheriff, and Chelsea Court. They loved it, and they wrapped around and they did the exploratory. And like I said, we weren't sure if everybody's going to just be one and done with us because it was the first year, but they've already asked, we want to continue this with you for years to come. So I have to give a huge thank you to the community for giving us this chance, and in a year and a half, we have truly turned our school around and become something that we were all just thinking could be, it may be, and here it is, and here we have 2 products of it happening right before our eyes. So there's one last thing that I have to ask the school committee. Last week in our, no more money, not right now, but so last week in our governing board, we had 2 votes. One of the votes was about programming. We have had a 22 credit schedule forever. That was the threshold for the alternative school. We would like to move to a 28 credit high school, just like RHS. We are now just as competitive as any high school in Massachusetts, and I don't want kids ever feeling like they're coming to us because it's a smaller credit range that they have to cover. Now with dual enrollment, kids will exceed 28 very easily, and I want kids to feel that they're being pushed to that, just like they would be pushed to any other high school. So that was one thing that we have voted in governing board, that we all would like that, but we need your vote. And I don't know if it happens tonight, but.
Can I just say that the students that are on the governing board were really vocal about what it felt like to them, that there was a published document called their handbook that said this is what you need to graduate, and that it was less than what their peers would have. So even the kids understood that to be, we don't believe as much in you as we do in these other kids. So just with our push with equity, I would really advocate strongly for this. I don't know that the committee can vote on that tonight because it wasn't on the agenda, but we could do it at the July meeting in time for handbooks to be printed and published. And I don't, if anybody has any debate about that.
The other request that we have, we would like to add more to our history catalog, just because in the past, we didn't, the Mass Core requirements that we're able to give kids diplomas from Seacoast, you didn't need as much history. So we decided to change the way civics is done. Instead of having civics be the standalone course, civics is really embedded in all parts of history and ELA. So we would like to embed that into our humanities and offer more history, bring world history, maybe another history, but we just want more right now because we only have US 1, US 2. So we want to bring more and give the kids more options. I was a former history teacher, and it kind of breaks my heart that there's more history. So that was the other ask that we had, because that's also in the handbook. So if you would please consider that at the vote in July, that would be really helpful. But that is all. Thank you for our presentation today.
If I can speak from the chair, I just wanted to, Ms. Mulligan, Ms. Brandywine, Dr. Mulligan, apologies. You know, the reason that this program has been successful is you believe in that mission that you started with. And I remember when you came here a year ago, and you talked about the program, there was a lot of oohs and ahs, but it was, you know, the curiosity of how you pulled it all together. And, you know, being on the other end of helping, you know, commit to one of the courses, I know that it took a lot of heavy lifting outside, reaching out to networks outside of the city, reaching out to networks all over, and having to follow up because it was not a standard curriculum that you were creating on the fly. So it wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for people like yourself, the two of you, you know, and your team. Your team really put it together, so I applaud you for that. All right. Congratulations. Ms. Rizzo?
Well, you took a lot of words out of my mouth.
That was hard.
I just want to say the asks are amazing. I don't think any one of my colleagues should disagree with, I mean, first of all, you have student voice. So right there, you have to listen. Your education, your professionalism, just amazing asks. But I did want to say, with your vision, Dr. Mulligan, and advocates like Chelsea, these kids are going to succeed. This is the family that they do need, extended family that they do need. And I look at parents, like Dylan's mom here, this is what they want for their children. They want them to succeed. They want them, I mean, we're always proud of our children, but you do want them to have something outside, and this gives it to them. And I commend you immensely for all the work that people like you and Chelsea do. And I'm so proud to go to that school and see the work and see the engagement of the students there. So thank you so much.
Dr. Kelly.
I'll be brief, I promise, but, you know, Dr. Mulligan is absolutely right that it takes her whole team to really be invested and buy into this, but it also takes her leadership. I mean, we've had, Seacoast was with us for decades, right? And without somebody who had the kind of vision and the dedication that Dr. Mulligan has to really see to fruition and empower her teachers and others and build a kind of environment where we're saying to people, no, the kids are not going to be in the classroom all day. That's just not going to happen, right? That's unusual for people. So definitely with Dr. Mulligan's guidance and leadership is necessary to make this happen. So I don't want to diminish that at all. And I'll reiterate the concern I had for the committee when they came forward with the idea for the innovation school at City Lab, and that was, we're going to get to a point where so many kids want to go to City Lab, we're not going to be able to seat them all, right? And so it's a good problem to have. I look forward to the day, and I've talked to Mr. Bowen about this as well. I look forward to the day when this entire high school is converted into a City Lab. So Someday, we keep the faith. Thank you.
Thank you. And Dr. Monteroso, I'm sorry, Ms. Monteroso.
If you want to give me a
Doctor yet?
PhD, you
We'll
can.
we'll get you there.
It does take a village. I just want to thank you and your team for all the work. We see it. It means a lot. So thank you for creating so many pathways for students to access diverse opportunities. There's models like these attempting to rise up all over the state, and they actually result in just people having low expectations for students and thinking students only fit in certain categories. So to see it live in success and be a model for the state, I'm just so happy to be a part of it. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Ellis.
I promise I'll be quick. So I've been a fan since day one, and having visited City Lab and seeing the wonderful things that you're doing there was no doubt in my mind as to the capability of a successful program. And I'm so thrilled to hear this news, to see these figures, to see 95% success rate. You know, this is all good stuff. I wish you nothing but the best, and I'm happy to continue to support you in your efforts. Thank you.
Ms. Tai.
Well, one of the things that I love about Revere is that it is a mixture of the old and the new. To sit here and see the Has family has been in Revere since, I can't tell you how many years, probably 60 or 80 years in all of them, and still contributing in such a variety of ways to the success of the children in Revere and of life in Revere. And then to see somebody new from this side who will come in and say, this is my perspective, this is what you need to do here, this is where we can go. And then having all of these programs just meld together and come with a success. And Erda, who has been here and being successful all these years, like all the other kids who get certificates from us during the meetings. All of you. It makes us all together so immensely proud of everything that you have done, everything that you will do, everything that you can do, everything that the leadership can do. It's almost overwhelming. It's so overwhelmingly joyful. Thank you so much to everyone, and especially thank you to our superintendent, Diane Kelly, who has been leading the way successfully for so many years and fighting the good fight sometimes, but still fighting, and all of you joining on the team. So thank you all so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So we're not quite done with the superintendent's report, but can I suggest we take a 1-minute recess so the majority of people can
Sure.
find their way to dinner?
Recess for 1 minute, please. We're going to come back from our recess when you're ready. Okay. Okay, back to regular order.
Thank you, Acting Mayor Keefe. The next presentation under the superintendent's report is from our Revere Educators Leadership Board, and it's on a self-directed evaluation system that the team developed over the last couple of years, and they're completing their first year of the pilot, or second year of the pilot. And Assistant Principal Nancy Martell from the Hill School is here with two teachers, Corrine Ciano and Jen Gaza, who participated in the program. They're going to share their stories. So I will share my screen and we will get going.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. I'm losing my voice. It's field day side effect, but we started this work with the Educator Growth REL back in 2019, before COVID, and we knew that we needed a new pathway for teachers in the ed growth system, for veteran teachers who have been doing a great job. The work is, we wanted something new for these people to try to guide them in a different way. So we spent a couple years researching what was happening in neighboring towns. We engaged the Teacher Collaborative to support us in this work, and then we met monthly to put all of this together. And the goal was to come up with a plan where teachers could guide their growth, and they could plan what was interesting to them, and they would set their path over a 2-year goal. And you can keep going, 2 more. Yep, we can go to the next one too. So we are mirroring the current system that the typical program is on the left, and now on the right we're following a similar cycle where it's over 2 years, but the simple overview is the first year the teacher will come up with something that they're interested in learning more about. So they spend year 1 researching whatever it is of interest to them that can impact their students' learning. And the first year they might be trying things out, they might be just doing pure research, and then year 2 is really the implementation and gathering data to support basically their hypothesis or their interest that they were interested in over that year. We have a lot of really great feedback on the next slide that from both, you can keep going to slide 8. We have a lot in here for you to look at. We're going to summarize it right here for you now in the summary. But the takeaways were that both the evaluators and the teachers involved in the 2-year pilot really found it beneficial. These are very high ratings that you can see here, that the conversations between teachers and evaluators are still happening, but they're happening in a more authentic way, where the teacher is guiding the conversation on something that they're passionate about and interested in learning about to better the students, what the students are getting in their classrooms. So I'm going to hand this over in slide 15 to Corrine Ciano, who was a kindergarten teacher, who was one of the teachers that worked with me. We worked together in this pilot program, so she was one that was willing to take this journey with us. And you can share your.
Good evening, everybody. I took this on because I wanted to do something that I had a passion for. I wanted to bring mindfulness into my classroom, not only for the children, but for myself as well. And even though they're 5 and 6 years old, over the years I have found more of these little ones coming in, and I see the stress and anxiety, whether it's from home, whether it's from not understanding growth mindset yet because they're so young. And oftentimes it's broken my heart. So I wanted to take this on. I had recently been certified through Breathe for Change, which is trauma-informed yoga and mindfulness. And with Nancy's help, I was very motivated to do this. So my year 1, I was able to research this, work with our C2C mindfulness coach, and we actually created a living document, a year-long plan that, as you know, every year your classroom changes and your children's needs change. And through focus groups and different practices and looking at what I learned in the program I took, plus the CASEL standards, plus the social justice standards, we tried to meld all of that together. And then in year 2 was this past year, I kind of used that living document and each month told taught them a different social skill, learning about their emotions, learning about regulating themselves. I saw a great increase in empathy from the students. They really learned to empathize with others, which was important to me. And overall, I saw them become cheerleaders for each other. We had a great classroom community. My relationships with my children both years, even the ones that were tough at times, I felt we had really good relationship. I really felt the children felt safe. And selfishly, bringing the mindfulness into the classroom and the yoga into the classroom, it helped me too. And I always feel the children will feed off of how I'm feeling. So I felt it was important, and I had a great experience with this pilot. And now I'm going to hand it over to Jen Gaza.
Good evening. Thank you, everyone. My name is Jen Gaza. I'm a first grade teacher at the Hill School. This is my 12th year teaching, and I think this was a wonderful piece to add to Revere Public Schools. I've always been involved with the evaluation program, and I think using this new evaluation tool, I was able to take risks that I probably wouldn't have taken if I was following the previous or the evaluation system that is in place. I want to thank Nancy Martell for really encouraging me to do this. I might not have taken the step to do it, but I used co-teaching as my pilot plan. And what I did was I worked directly with our coaches, Nicole Cesari and Jill Norris, for both math and reading. And the kindergarten team at the Hill School really helped me as well. We targeted the kindergarten students that by the end of their kindergarten year necessarily needed a little bit more time maybe in kindergarten. So it really helped them with the remediation of getting where they needed. I did different studies with different co-teaching models and best practices, and having a co-teacher directly in the room for the entire school day with me. I have some data points, which I believe might be on the third slide, to see how students progressed from the beginning or the ending of kindergarten, and then it tracked their nonsense word fluency for DIBELS. So I really feel like in this plan that I did, students were able to take the risks that they might not necessarily have taken if they were in a typical gen ed classroom. The co-teaching with having two teachers, it really impacted the students by having two teachers in the room readily available for them. So you can see the students, student 1, 2, and 3, their data from the end of kindergarten all throughout first grade, and then traveling now to second grade. I think the biggest thing for this plan was the relationships, not only for the students, but for myself, working directly with another co-teacher in the room. And I just think it was a great experience for the kids as well as myself.
And just to conclude, this really shifts from a compliance, we need to check the boxes to complete this evaluation, to something that is really benefiting teachers and students. And every year we start our new classroom, we know we're going to do something different as teachers. We say, okay, this year, this is what I'm going to do. So let's make that part of the plan for teachers. They're doing the work anyway. And another benefit, I think, from this pilot, as both of them mentioned, is it's bringing in the C2C program or the restorative justice coach or the mindfulness coach. So all of those other roles that we have are really being leveraged by a lot of the teachers who are choosing to take this path. So I think it's a nice way of integrating all of those things that we have in place. So thank you.
Very nice.
Can I add a couple things?
Sure. Congratulations.
Just to add a couple of thoughts to this. The first is the educator, the teacher, and the evaluator have to agree that this kind of a program is a fit for that educator. So it's not just, I think I'll do that self-directed thing.
Yep.
They really have to demonstrate themselves, as Corinne and Jen already have, to be on that upper tier of educator to begin with. They're already proficient or exemplary in all areas in order to go into this program. But really what we thought about as the Ed Growth team was working on this, we were talking about how the Ed Eval system doesn't work for everybody, because it's not a cookie cutter that's trying to, we know those things don't work. And we're thinking about all of the work we've done with the Harvard Deeper Learning Dozen. And one of the main tenets of deeper learning is that adult learning and student learning is symmetrical. So what we say is good teaching for kids is also good teaching for adults. When we say students should have voice and choice, when we say students should have multiple opportunities to demonstrate their growth, when we say that grading should be fair and equitable and people should bring their whole self into demonstrating their knowledge, the same is true when we talk about adults. So our teachers should have voice and choice in what their professional development is, and they should have multiple opportunities to demonstrate their growth as an instructional leader or as a strong educator, and they should be able to bring their whole self, like the mindfulness or the preferred co-teaching, into what they do in their experience. And so we really see this model as that parallel between what we say is good teaching for kids and what we know is a good growth model for adults. And it's the kind of teaching and learning that you see in other professions like the medical profession, where people collaborate and engage more freely all the time. And so we're just really proud that we have had a success here and hope to expand the program as we go further on. And I definitely want to thank Corrine and Jen. Jen will tell you later who her favorite math teacher was in high school, but thank you both for being vulnerable and coming and talking about this experience in front of everybody. It's how we learn.
Thank you. Ms. Ellis?
So this is great, right? It sounds very empowering, and you think about teachers and having all of these restraints on your ability to teach in your own personal style because of all of these prerequisites and things and boxes that you have to check off and things you have to get done. I'm learning more and more about these things. That it brings me back to like the teachers of yesteryear, the teachers that we had that brought in their personalized experiences or the things that were of interest to them, and that's what made them so great, right? And helped to establish those relationships with the kids, because it's like that passion emanated through to the kids. So this is just all good stuff. I am happy to hear about it. I can't wait to hear more, and I hope that it takes off. Thank you.
Mr. Kingston.
I'm going to be quick and easy. I'm just going to say thank you. I know the three of you, and I know you work hard, and I know you put your heart and soul into this, and I think it's great, and I just want to say thank you, and thank you.
Ms. Monterosso.
Quick question. So this is just adding like one additional individualized goal to the evaluation template, or is it completely different?
It's a different pathway that teachers can choose to go down. It's still a 2-year cycle, but it's, instead of having two separate goals, they create an if-then statement where they kind of have a hypothesis and then how it's going to impact students. So it's parallel to what's happening, only there's not the requirements of 8 pieces of evidence. We meet formative and summative. So some of those restrictions are lifted, and the conversations are more ongoing throughout the research and the implementation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Great job. Thank you.
Okay, next we have a presentation from the group of teachers that participated on a team with the Department of Education and districts across the state on teacher diversification through their professional learning community. And Dr. Garcia is going to lead that update. I know that he has Mo and Linda and Jamie here with him as well, who participated in that work, and I'm sure he will refer to them as appropriate.
Good evening. This past year, I believe since October, September this past year, Revere actually has been on this path over 2 years, including this year. So we have been working with the Department of Education on teacher diversification, professional learning community. So the focus of this community is basically on talent strategy and cultural proficiency, or cultural responsive practice. So the talent strategy focuses on attracting or recruiting, retention, and hiring, or should be the other way around. Recruitment, hiring, and retention. We want to make sure that we have solid structures in place that attract people of color, particularly teachers of color, educators of color in general. The second part is the cultural proficiency, which certainly focuses on our practice every day to ensure that our teacher staff have the know-how, the competency, the skills necessary to navigate multicultural, multiracial, multi-ethnic, and multi-gender, I would say, environments. So our theory of action, can you go back a little bit? Yeah. So our theory of action stands as follows. If we recruit, hire, and retain large numbers of educators of color, then all students, particularly students of color, will have a more positive educational experience and perform at the higher levels. So this is research is on our side, actually research that has been done by Johns Hopkins University in 2018 in a study, and you can check this study. It's called the Long Run Impact of Same-Race Teachers by National Bureau of Economic Research found that black students who had one black teacher by third grade level were 13% more likely to enroll in college. That's powerful. And he also says that those who had at least two teachers of color were 32% more likely to succeed at the college level. So it's a great research. You can read it. I read it. It's very comprehensive. It really tells a good story about the practice we should have in our district in terms of, hiring people of color to be in front of our students of color in general. So next slide, very quick. So our pillars of theory of action. So investing in diversity is expensive. We all know it. Hiring teachers of color has been really a nationwide problem. So we want to make sure we invest in terms of putting money aside to support by creating incentives and recruit and retain educators of color. That's necessary, and if we are serious about this work. The second thing we need to do, and that can be in a variety of ways, like for example, supporting our educators of color with tuition reimbursement, making sure that they have, signing bonus, for example. We have done it using a grant that we acquired from the Department of Education in recent years. It paid off very well. We hired over close to 30 educators of color. So inducting and mentoring, mentee-mentor identity matching. So as we hire people of color, we want to make sure our teachers we hire are matched with people who reflect the identity, experience, and background. In so doing, obviously those teachers will be able to keep them because we know that cultural relationship, the intersectionality that exists in our school department, the different cultures we have, people tend to really do well. Case in point, our affinity groups that we have in our district now, right? So we keep adding that. That's a powerful way to really empower our students. The other thing also, teachers. The other thing also we have to be mindful about is, creating structure that will support our teachers. Surveys, meetings with them, checking, asking them how things are going. Are they being supported by our school principals? What's the relationship between teachers, among teachers, and so on and so forth. So this past year, for example, the RJ circles, for example, listening sessions, listen to their concerns, listen to their, they have a lot of things special coming into our district. So these are all good things. I'll pass the word to my friend, Mo. And actually, this is all team that participated since October. We have Alice and also Sarah Chavs. They could not be here, but it's been a great team. And you'll do the next section.
So I gotta go quick. So as a first-year principal, I was a little bit, nervous about coming onto this committee because I felt like there were so many competing interests, learning a new school, and then really trying to make sure that I could give this the due diligence and the amount of time that it requires. And very quickly after coming on, I realized it's something I definitely needed to do, and I've learned so much through my time. I wanted to talk to you just a little bit about the impetus for this work and kind of the background of where this all comes from. So in 2021, as we all know, we had the equity audit. The results were released that August, and this actually is a recommendation directly from the equity audit report in the Area 7, which is recruitment and hiring. So recommendation 2, create a district strategy to attract and select qualified and diverse talent. define a strategy to attract and recruit diverse talent, cultivate perspective in current candidate pools by setting communication guideline structures, engaging candidates in current staff and professional learning and network opportunities, and assessing candidate needs for testing and licensure. Create an inclusive, unbiased, and structured selection process to neutralize bias. This has been a big part of our conversations through the work that we've done. Hire for growth to support the recruitment, selection, and hiring process. So with that, we, as Dr. Garcia actually had framed at the very beginning, we had continued for a second year. Revere Public Schools sent a group of teachers and professionals to work with the partnership that DESE has with the New Teacher Project for Teacher Diversity Professional Learning Community. We meet once a month, and then we meet also between then to kind of reflect on what we've learned from each of those sessions, and then to identify some next steps moving forward. Through all of this work, the things that we really started to focus on is really thinking about who we are hiring, and then analyzing what we want, what makes people really want to stay. So not just like, oh, why are people leaving, but what makes people want to stay actively and being a little more proactive in that. Identifying what support does our staff need, so really looking at the strengths and weaknesses from a program perspective across different schools and different areas to see what do they really need to be able to feel supported and to feel connected with what we're doing. And then exploring what data do we have or need for this work. So looking at different data analysis tools, whether it's exit surveys that I think Linda might talk a little bit about, but really looking at all these different tools that we have at our discretion to be able to make strategic and informed decisions. So Linda is going to come up and talk to you right now. She'll talk a little bit about some of what we've done this year and then also our next steps.
Good evening, everybody. So as Mo was saying, this is an incredibly enriching and rewarding experience to participate in this PGT with DESE. We had the opportunity to listen to an amazing amount of districts that share their best practices or what they were currently doing, as well as keynote speakers that DESE brought in to enhance our understanding and knowledge for what is it that we might need to do as we move forward. Gathering all that knowledge, what we were working on throughout the year as part of the PGT was looking at our EPIMS form, really trying to gather more accurate and a deeper understanding of the demographics of our hires. And also, people had worries and concerns about what we do with this information, so being more transparent about the process, why we're gathering this information, and so that was one of the areas we focused on. The exit survey, we wanted to hear from staff about why they were leaving. What was it that negatively impacted their decision not to stay within our district so that we could do something about that. We also focused on new teacher circles. So this was a deeper dive into how people that we've hired in their first year here in the district, what's their experience? So we used circle practice to elicit stories from our new teachers. I gathered data and I actually shared it with Cabinet and with all of our building principals so that we could take some really important information and use it to make improvements to what we're doing currently to hold on to our staff that we hire. And then our affinity groups. We have 2 currently, and I met with them to talk with them about how can we expand on the number of groups that we have, how can we support them in leading the groups and increase the participation of the groups. So going forward, then our next steps in terms of recruitment, we're looking for funding to provide incentives, as Dr. Garcia was talking about. In this particular instance, we want to focus on the paraprofessional community to create a pipeline to become teachers. The earlier study that he quoted, he talked about the investment that's necessary to have people of color, teachers of color in our school that represent our district, our community. Paraprofessionals we recruit locally from our community. They represent our community, and incentives of funding is often the bridge that is what it will take to move them to become teachers. So next slide. We're going to focus on hiring. Going back to the idea of who we have teaching in our community, who we have working with our children in our community, it's really important that they represent who our community is. And there's quite, I think the numbers will show that we're heavily a community, or at least in leadership in our district, it's a white leadership. And the research will tell you that, like, we actually have our biases about who we are, how we engage in what we do. We can't help it. It's everybody has a bias. It's our experience, and we want to develop a system to a rubric that will help us minimize our biases as we go out into the community to hire and recruit the people that we need for our community. And then somebody said that the best hiring that we have is retention. We can hire all of these people, but if we can't retain them, we're in this constant cycle of looking. So this is the work that I did this year about, really finding out from teachers what it is that they need to help them feel supported. And the first year of teaching is incredibly overwhelming. That's the data that we got from them. And we want to incorporate more circles into the practice throughout the year, starting early in the year, and use this data formatively to be able to make changes during the year to be responsive to what the teachers are telling us. So this year we did it more towards the end of the year, and we're going to use that data going forward, but we want to be actually able to do it in the moment. And we took this data to building principals and shared with them what new teachers were saying, so they can make individual changes to how they operate in their building. One of the pieces of information that came from the circle data was that new teachers felt like a disconnect. They were so busy doing their thing that often they didn't have this sense of community with other teachers within the building itself. So purposely focusing on how to support that community building amongst new teachers would be important. And then train the affinity group facilitators. This is key. When we got feedback from our leaders, they talked about the need to have more training in order to be able to facilitate cultural, racial, and identity-based conversations. Though we have this beautiful quote from Kofi Annan, we may have different religions, different languages, different colored skin, but we all belong to one human race.
Ms. Monterosso.
Do you want to add something?
I was just going to say thank you all very much. I know it's been a lot of work on top of a lot of work on top of a lot of work this year, but it really is the important work that's going to bring us forward to the future, and we appreciate your leadership and participation. Mo, I'm thinking of you as a new principal and taking on this work alongside that. It's pretty incredible. So thank you all.
And sorry, Diane, and he was on vacation today, just to show you the commitment. He came here to do this.
You should not have done that.
I didn't do that. This guy.
Dog puts the arm on you.
I was like, oh, you need me to do what? Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Monterosso?
This work is my passion, so it was just great reading through all of that. It's so important. I just wanted to share a resource in case you haven't come across. Last year, DESE published a report called The Case Study Best Practices for Recruiting and Retaining Culturally Great. I wrote that. I led that case study. So I just wanted to, there's a lot in there about the homegrown program. So if you have any questions on it, I was the author. So just great work.
Thank you.
Great job. Thank you very much. Go back on vacation.
Go home.
Fly back to Bermuda.
Okay.
Okay, the next item on the superintendent's list, and I promise we're coming close to the end. I just wanted to take a minute of this time to share with the community, but also share with the community the summer programming that we have lined up for this summer. And we realized as we were sitting here that it says summer projects update. It's supposed to say summer programming update. But I'm going to share my screen here, and Dr. Gallucci is going to take us through this programming.
All right, thank you, Dr. Kelly. So we'll go right into the elementary summer school programming. Before we do so, I'll just mention a few constants. Most of the programs run Monday through Thursday. All are off on July 3rd and 4th. The Paul Revere does have a Friday or two where summer school is in session, but I was pleasantly surprised and pleased, not surprised, but pleased to learn that there was great collaboration between the elementary school principals, the middle school principals, and the high school principals, and really all of the programming is really in sync and consistent across the district. I also have to give a shout out. I made these collages. I did my very best to make it more visual than text. But I did include a dining services member on each collage because they do work all summer. They do provide recess and snacks and lunch for our children and our staff. So kudos to that crew who just does an amazing job. I think you'll see a nice through line from elementary to high school in terms of the concepts that are being rolled out over the summer. We obviously have some math and ELA work at all three levels. At the elementary level, that is accomplished via Collaborative Classroom and the Bridges Math Program. They are also doing a lot of social emotional learning, physical activities, hands-on learning, and that little grid right there, and I'm going to try to share these out district-wide, tells you the times and each program's start and end date. So really a lot of social emotional work, a lot of enrichment activities, as well as the core foundational academics. When we get to the middle school programming, you'll see that the similarity, but really moving from kind of learning and understanding what social emotional learning is and starting to put it into practice, engaging in restorative justice circles. All of our programs, thanks to Ms. Lavalita, have English language learner supports at all three levels. The kids will be engaging in restorative practices, learning about social emotional learning, engaging in physical activities, doing some hands-on deeper learning concepts that all three middle schools are going to delve into next year. And again, some arts throughout the curriculum at the middle school level. When we get to high school, more practicality. And earlier we talked a lot about structure and routines and rigor, and I think both Dr. Mulligan and Mr. Bowen have done a really good job of identifying that, and they're going to make it a kind of core foundational aspect to their program. City Lab has one program for all students. Revere High School has two programs running simultaneously, one for sophomores, juniors, and seniors. The other is called the Bridge Program, which really focuses on our freshman class, that's our incoming freshman class. They are going to be exposed to financial literacy concepts. Dr. Mulligan had in her plan journey mapping, which is a concept she did last year with the kids, where they start to map out their journey as they see it from now until secondary schooling and career readiness. A lot of team building activities, a lot of looking at how we learn. If you look at the lower right-hand corner, you see the left brain, right brain image that we've seen. And then all the way to the left, there is the opportunity for summer credit recovery. Mr. Bowen is going to be running Apex Learning, which is an online platform, but they're going to be doing the work with a teacher support, a live in-person teacher support at the high school. There's also a very specific biology credit recovery program and a project-based learning program, a credit recovery program that's really hands-on and focuses on STEM. So great job to Dr. Mulligan and Mr. Bowen for really being thoughtful. We have 2 other programs going on. Our special education extended school year program that we've ran for years. Thank you to Ms. Rizzo and Ms. Roy, who have organized this for this year. That takes place at the Garfield School. Obviously, a lot of this program is driven by individual IEP programs and goals, and the kids have the opportunity to work on those goals over the summer and get some more deeper work in those areas in which have been identified as one of their goals. They do take field trips when they can. There's no concrete field trip set in stone right now, but I know they're looking at a lot of different places to take the kids. If students have in their IEP physical therapy or OT or speech, they obviously get those services over the summer as part of our extended year program. Obviously, the core subjects of reading and math, and as well as social emotional learning, and really starting to be planful, be mindful of how we interact with peers, what the future is going to bring, and how we can really identify our emotions and our thoughts and interact effectively. And brand new this year, we have the RPS Fine Arts Summer Program that Ms. Williams is leading. Really nice concept. It's going to be for all RPS high school students, including City Lab and Revere High School. It's going to run from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., and it's going to take place at the Rumney Marsh Academy. They are going to do a lot of visual artwork. There will be drama. There will also be music. And one of the coolest things that Ms. Williams passed along to me is that they will start to begin portfolios for any student that's interested in going to a college or university that focuses on art. So they will take those initial steps if they are interested in any of the fine arts over the course of the summer and enter that next school year with a portfolio already started. So really exciting. I think it's a testament to Ms. Williams' work and all of our fine arts teachers who spend not only hours and hours planning great lessons, but also the extracurricular aspect of doing all of these programs beyond the school day. Just so much to be proud of in that area. That's it.
Ms. Ellis.
2 quick questions, Richie. One is, are these programs, are they by invitation only, or can parents request that their child participate in them?
Yes, an invite is sent out by the school principals and through Ms. Williams, like the fine arts program, would send it out through Dr. Mulligan and Mr. Bowen, so anybody can sign up.
Anybody can sign up.
Yeah.
And then secondly, does this take the place of summer school? Is there such thing as summer school? Or is this summer school?
That is summer school.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, great.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think in our minds, summer school used to be, I didn't do what I was supposed to do, so I got to go to summer school.
Right.
We've transitioned a lot, and this is a really valuable learning experience for students over the summer that otherwise wouldn't have been engaging.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
And I can say, we need to do a deeper dive into our data from summer school, but just from a perspective of how we think leaning forward, kids who don't do well in school are not going to do well in a traditional summer school that mimics what school was like, right? So typically what we find is when students struggle academically, it's more about something that's going on with them socially, emotionally, or at home. If we can address that issue and give them some academics and get them back on track, then they can be successful going forward. Whereas if we just keep trying to torture them with rote instruction, it's not going to be helpful.
And I'll also add the other huge aspect of the transition years. Having a daughter who's a freshman in high school who transitioned this year and spending 6 years as a middle school principal, I would argue that elementary to middle school is probably the toughest. And what I've found is the kids that attended the middle school summer program as incoming sixth graders knew the staff, knew the building. Predictability is huge. So when they are able to predict what their day is going to look like on that first day of school, there's less angst. There's an easier transition to that middle school setting. And they meet peers from across the district as they're going to do 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And they already have friends when they're walking in the first day.
Thank you.
Okay, last but not least, I shared with all of you, I think you just got a copy of it tonight in your packets. I meant to email it, but apparently I did not. Robin made me aware of that. And this is the update from the NEASC. We had read our full report that we got back in January, and this is just their summary letter highlighting, since they came back to visit and see what steps the high school had made. They identified a number of commendations. They identified 4 areas that we need to work more on, and also set forth a path for the school improvement plan. Mr. Bowen is sharing this with his NEAS team, and they will certainly be integrating all of these ideas into their school improvement plan, which will come before you all for approval in the fall. He's going to be on a little bit of a faster timeline than the rest of the schools because they want this report by September 1st. So he should have his presentation ready for you all in August. I'm working with him on that now. We typically like to come back to school and be able to engage parents and students in that process, but that's going to be tough. We also have the option to ask for a later submission date, which I don't think NEASC would balk at if we explained the reason why we wanted to do it later. But Mr. Bowen and I are working on that. We'll figure that out before the end of the summer. So I don't know if anybody had any questions on this or anything in particular you wanted to look at. Our scheduled decennial visit will be in the fall of 2024, so just a year and a half from now, just to keep in mind.
Mr. Kingston.
I'm sure it's not that important, but I'm reading it. It said, on page 2 at the bottom, it says, develop a plan for the future use of the current Revere High School building at 101 School Street to ensure that it is safe, clean, and well-maintained until the new building project is completed in 2026. I only wish.
I know, you and me both. We will need to address that with NEASC and update them that that is no longer what we anticipate will happen. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay.
That concludes the superintendent's report.
Next, we have hearings. Attached is the budget. Mr. Cruz. Hey, well, I'm sorry, Mr. Kingston? Oh, Mr. Ferrante, sorry. Mr. Ferrante.
The first thing I think we should do is just read at the public hearing so everybody knows what we're talking about first. We've advertised it for the last 2 weeks that the notice was given in accordance with the provision of Section 38N of Chapter 71 of Mass General Laws that the Revere School Committee will conduct a public hearing on Tuesday, June 20th, 2023 at 6 p.m. in the Emmanuel M. Ferrante School Committee Room and via Zoom. Meeting located on the first floor of the Revere High School, 101 School Street, relative to the Revere Public Schools proposed fiscal year 2023-2024 school operating budget. All interested persons will be given the opportunity to be heard for or against the whole or any part of the proposed budget. I think at that point, Mr. Chairman, that we need to have the proponents and opponents of the hearing.
Okay. We'll open it up to the proponents. Any proponents in the audience or on Zoom? Hearing and seeing none. We'll close that side of the hearing. Any opponents? Any opponents in the audience or on Zoom? No? Hearing and seeing none. We'll close that side of the hearing. Any committee members?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Ferrante.
At this point, I'm going to make a few comments about this budget. It's been a little different of the ones we've had prior years. But before I get to that point, there's a lot of thanks that have to be sent out there. We had 3 different versions of the budget. The numbers are always moving, and we're not even sure if these are the right numbers or not, depending on what happens with the state. But at this point, I have to thank my committee members. I'm the chairman, that Mr. John Kingston and Ms. Carol Ty are my committee members. Plus, also, other members of the school committee contributed to the meetings with Stacy Bronson Rizzo, Aisha Milbury Ellis. Also, big thanks to CFO Matt Cruz and his office for what he's done. Superintendent Dr. Diane Kelly and the 3 assistant superintendents. Also, the city side with Acting Mayor Keefe and Rich Viscay in his office to put this budget together. They were more concerned with Chapter 19 than the rest of the budget. Now, I think that, and I'm just going to make the highlights quick. One of the biggest highlights was the Chapter 70 money. We got a $14 million increase from last year to this year. Also, we added an additional 98 staff members. The highlights one that we're going to hire 57 classroom teachers, 13 instructional coordinates, 19 paraprofessionals, 7 parent informationals, and 3 psychologists. Hopefully, we can fill all the positions. Okay. Another point is that I'm going to turn over to Mr. Galucci with the flip lock that was brought to us this year, and I just want him to give a quick explanation of what's going to happen with that.
Yes, so I'll give a very brief summary of what the flip block is. The flip block has a dual ability to serve as a lock for the classroom as well as a barricade that makes it impossible to open the door, or nearly impossible. In a moment of crisis, there's often executive dysfunction, which means a simple task of putting a key in a keyhole and locking the door effectively can become an impossibility. With this, you just literally flip it down, it latches on the door, it's done, and then you can go back and secure the classroom. It also avoids, as the school committee brought up, having to ask children to engage in training sessions about barricading doors with classroom materials. It's all in one. I did have 5 tasks after our subcommittee meeting. I have 3.5 answers. Should anything go wrong with the locks in Massachusetts, the company has an internal maintenance team that would be on call to fix any issues that may have gone on with the devices. They can also train our custodial staff to work on the projects as well. So that's one. The second question was, what if keys are lost? The replacement keys are typically $15 a key, and they have a maintenance team that would be able to create a new key for us immediately if they are indeed lost. Another question was, if we do move to a new high school, is there the ability to take these locks with us, essentially? And the company said, yes, that is absolutely, definitely possible. There are no districts that currently use them in the local area, as I had said at that meeting, but I do now, this is my half answer, I do now have 4 contacts in Texas, school districts that are using them, as well as a point person that I'm going to be reaching out to. And then the final answer is, I have not received an answer yet to see if there's anything better they can do with the cost of it all. But I'm on it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And my last comment before we start actually voting the budget, there will be members of the committee that are unable to vote in certain series due to family members that work in the department and would be a conflict of interest. So they will be not voting on specific series. Before I start the voting, are there any questions? Go ahead.
I think just for my knowledge, on page 12, when it's talking about salaries, I saw there's a 60% increase, if I'm understood, on school committee, and I just wanted to learn a little bit more about that.
Ms. Rizzo.
So I will say, this school committee has never received any kind of raise, probably in 18 years. And it's basically comparable to some of the urban cities. I mean, unless you're in Somerville and you get $45,000 a year. But, right. And that's just about it. It
So
is,
sorry, so it's an increase for all across even?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, there's no differential.
It increases each committee member's salary annual to just $10,000.
We only went from 6,000 to 10,000. Okay.
So you can donate more.
Yeah. All right, any other questions? Because I'm going to start the hearing right now.
Mr. Franti, I actually had a question earlier.
Good.
If the voting you just referred to, where members can't vote if they have a relative or a household member in a particular unit for the budget, does that apply if the person is not employed after July 1st? So this budget is for beginning on July 1st, right? So if a committee member currently has a relative in the unit, but that person will be retired prior to this budget taking effect, is that member able to vote?
I would say yes.
That is true.
Yes,
That is true.
they can
Yes,
vote,
yes,
right?
you can.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Okay. All set? Okay. All right, it's the 1,000 Steries.
Oh, okay.
It's the administration part of the budget. The total budget's $3,544,605. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes?
Mr. Franti,
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis,
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes. Motion passes. I know. Next 2,000 series, Mr. Fronte?
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. On the 2,000 instructional services, the total amount budgeted is $77,205,483. So moved. Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Not voting?
Mr. Franti,
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Not voting.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis,
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes.
3,000 series, other student services. Total amount, $13,090,166. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes?
Mr. Ferranti,
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis,
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes.
Next, the 4,000 series, operation of plant/maintenance, $9,876,632. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes?
Mr. Ferranti,
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis,
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes.
5,000 series, employee benefits and insurance. Total amount, $1,210,306. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Not voting?
Mr. Ferranti,
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Not voting.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis,
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes.
Series 6,000, civic and community service, $26,190. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes?
Mr. Ferranti,
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis,
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes.
I think we have to make a correction on the 5,000 series with Ms. Aisha Milbury Ellis that voted incorrectly, so we have to correct her vote because she does, not voting. Not voting because she does take the insurance, so we have to make a record of that.
Okay, so we will let the record
Three.
reflect that on the 500 series, member Aisha Milbury Ellis is changing her vote to
Not voting.
not voting. Do you want to just say it for the say it yourself for the record?
Sure. On Series 5000, I correct my vote to not voting.
Okay. We good? Okay, thank you. Series 7000, building improvements, it's $100,000. So moved.
Second?
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes?
Mr. Ferranti,
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis,
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keith.
Yes.
The 9000 series, programs with other schools, $16,658,264. So moved.
Second?
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes?
Mr. Ferranti,
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis,
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keith.
Yes.
The final vote is the total school department budget, $121,711,646. Missed that. So moved.
Second?
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes?
Mr. Ferranti,
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis,
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keith.
Yes.
All right, that's the budget. It's all been voted for, approved by the school committee. It's up to you, Mr. CFO, to take care of the rest. And I'm going to thank everybody for helping this budget.
Thank you, Matt.
Mr. Chair, at this time, I'm going to ask for a motion to go out of order and take up 11B, nomination of school committee secretary, till December 31st.
Anyone second?
Second.
We take a roll call?
Ms. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes?
Mr. Ferranti,
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis,
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keith.
Motion passes.
So at this time, I'm asking for any nominations for the secretary for the second half of this year. Ms. Milbury Ellis?
I nominate John Kingston as secretary for the rest of the remaining term.
I'll nominate Michael Ferranti for secretary.
Any other nominations?
Do we have any seconds?
Second on the total nomination. So now we can vote on it.
Okay. Roll call. On
So
the
by
total on both, you're nominating two?
So we would go down and state the name that you're picking, you're choosing.
Okay.
Are you both willing to serve? That's usually the question that's asked.
Right now on the floor, we have two nominations.
Do you want me to withdraw?
So I just if I can interpret what I'm hearing is, for discussion, Ms. Ty asked if both were interested in serving, and I'm not sure, but I think I heard Mr. Kingston said that he has no desire,
I would gladly
He'll defer to Michael.
and he would defer to Mr. Ferranti.
Yeah.
So, Ms. Milbury Ellis, you would need to amend your motion.
Or with,
Odd.
I'll just vote for Michael.
You would have to withdraw.
Just withdraw.
I withdraw the motion nominating John Kingston for secretary for the rest of the term. Thank you.
Can we get a roll call for
Need
Mr.
to do a
Ferrante
roll
as
call.
the secretary?
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Michael Ferranti,
Mr. Ferranti,
Michael Ferranti.
Mr. Kingston,
Michael Ferranti.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis,
Michael Ferranti?
Ms. Monterosso,
Michael Franti.
Ms. Ty,
Michael Ferranti.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Michael Ferrante.
I thank you all for the position.
Yes, return to regular order? Okay. Report subcommittee, Ways and Means?
Well, we've
Anything
already
further
done
to
that.
report?
Yeah, we're all
Okay.
set. All set.
Okay, and then the July retreat? Ms. Ty?
Mr.
Ms. Rizzo?
Yes.
Sorry about that.
So at our next meeting, I have scheduled someone to come in from Massachusetts, I can't even say the words anymore, Association of School Committees to do a retreat for us, and that would be on the roles and responsibilities for school committee members and superintendents. Also, school committee evaluations and committee protocols. So I do have someone scheduled to come in for our next meeting. I would like if maybe we can start 15 minutes off, 15 minutes before to take up any business that we might have to have, any votes that might be needed for that meeting, and then we'll go right into the retreat. And I will order some dinner so that we can relax, educate ourselves, and network.
Thank you. Where are you taking us for the retreat?
Anywhere that
All right.
has octopus.
That sounds good.
So that would be on July 18th, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. The one agenda item that we were hoping to discuss with the committee on that day was just the presentation of the new handbooks. The vote wouldn't be until August.
Right.
But I know the committee, which includes Ms. Aisha Milbury Ellis and Mr. John Kingston, would appreciate giving that presentation so that the committee has time to look everything over, because it's going to be a very different handbook.
And
than
we'll
what we
start
do.
off with, it would go to the subcommittee, policy subcommittee first.
Okay.
So we'll schedule a meeting before that, so everything can
Okay.
be done in advance.
Okay.
There was one that, and also the other item that would be great to take up is what Dr. Mulligan brought up today.
So that, yeah, and the pieces she brought up about her changes to the number of credits, and I'm trying to think of what and the history offerings are listed in the handbook, but those are both programmatic decisions that don't need the vote of the school committee.
No,
did
but she
wanna-
asked, and I'd like for us to support her decision, so if we could just bring that up as a support. We don't have to approve it. It's
Okay.
not up to us.
Yeah,
But to support it.
okay.
Dr. Kelly, when will the handbooks be ready?
We're hoping to have them ready right after the July 4th holiday. They're wrapping things up in the next couple of weeks, and then we have to proofread and do all that kind of stuff.
Thank
John
you.
or Aisha, anything different from what you're hearing? Okay.
I agree with you. There's a lot of work.
Thank you. Are we on to standing subcommittees, or, nope? Up to
So I forward a copy of the standing subcommittees with Susan Gravellisi leaving. We just incorporated Ms. Monterosso and made some movement for the next 6 months. So I'm not going to go through it. I've sent everyone a copy, but if anyone has any questions, feel free.
Thank you. Okay. Next is the motions.
And this is why I asked for the secretary to be voted in prior, so that someone could deal,
So it'll take me an hour and a half to read these.
read fast, waive the Waive the reading.
Mr. Chairman, I'll take care of it. Okay, motions. A, motion to encumber $21,000 for invoice number 22 for Left Field LLC for November 2022, professional services, so moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. Ferranti.
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis.
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso, Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes.
Letter B, motion to approve payment in the,
Actually, so do you want just 1 second? They just read the first motion. Huh? Oh, passes, okay.
all right, next, motion to approve payment in the amount of $21,000 for invoice number 22 for Left Field LLC for November 2022, professional services, so moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo.
Yes.
Mr. Ferranti.
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis.
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes.
Next, motion to encumber $21,000 for invoice number 23 for Left Field LLC for December 2022 professional services. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. Ferranti,
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis.
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes.
Next, motion to approve payment in the amount of $21,000 for invoice number 23 for Left Field LLC for December 2022 professional services. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. Ferranti.
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis.
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes.
Next, motion to encumber $21,000 for invoice number 24 for Left Field LLC for January 2023 professional services. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson
Yes.
Rizzo, Mr. Ferranti.
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis.
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes.
Next, motion to approve payment in the amount of $21,000 for invoice number 24 for Left Field LLC for January 2023 professional services. So moved. Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. Ferranti.
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis.
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes.
Next, motion to encumber $21,000 for invoice number 25 for Left Field LLC for February 2023 professional services. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. Ferranti.
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis.
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes.
Next, motion to approve payment in the amount of $21,000 for invoice number 25 for Left Field LLC for February 2023 professional services. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. Ferranti.
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis.
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes.
Next, motion to encumber $21,000 for invoice number 26 for Left Field LLC for March 2023 professional services. So moved. Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. Ferranti.
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis.
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes.
Next, motion to approve payment in the amount of $21,000 for invoice number 26 for Left Field LLC for March 2023 professional services. So moved. Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. Ferranti.
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis.
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes.
Next, motion to encumber $21,000 for invoice number 27 for Left Field LLC for April 2023 professional services. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. Ferranti,
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis.
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes.
Next, motion to approve payment in the amount of $21,000 for invoice number 27 for Left Field LLC for April 2023 professional services. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. Ferranti.
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis.
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes.
Next, motion to encumber $28,900 for invoice number 879700 for Perkins Eastman Architect DPC for March 23 professional services. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. Ferranti.
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis,
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes.
Dr. Kelly, I'm confused on the invoice number after that of 9152581. Says attach and approve Perkins invoice.
So included in the $28,900 for the Perkins Eastman Architect DPC March invoice included payment to a subcontractor, BSC Group,
Okay.
which was attached to the original invoice for Perkins Eastman.
Do we need to put that?
It's not a separate payment. It's included in the sum of the
Okay.
$28,900
Okay.
that you approved.
All right. Okay, thank you.
I should clarify, Perkins Eastman will pay them. We don't actually pay BSC Group.
All right. Next, motion to approve payment in the amount of $28,900 for invoice number 8797.00 for Perkins Eastman Architect DPC for March 2023 professional services. So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. Ferranti.
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis.
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes.
Next, motion to encumber $37,199.13 for invoice number 87970-00 for Perkins Eastman Architect DPC for April 2023 professional services. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. Ferranti,
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis,
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes.
Next, motion to approve payment in the amount of $23,084 for invoice number 4 for Consigli Construction Company, Inc. for January 2023 construction management services. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. Ferranti,
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis,
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes.
Next, motion to encumber $23,084 for invoice number 4 for Consigli Construction Company, Inc. for January 2023 construction management services. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. Ferranti, Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis,
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes.
Next, motion to approve payment in the amount of $23,084 for invoice number 5 for Consigli Construction Company, Inc. for February 2023 construction management services. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. Ferranti,
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis,
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes.
Next, motion to encumber $23,084 for invoice number 5 for Consigli Construction Company, Inc. for February 2023 construction management services. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. Ferranti,
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis,
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes.
Next, motion to approve payment in the amount of $23,084 for invoice number 6 for Consigli Construction Company, Inc. for April 2023 construction management services. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. Ferranti,
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis,
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes.
Next, motion to encumber $23,084 for invoice number 6 for Consigli Construction Company, Inc. for April 2023 construction management services. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes?
Mr. Ferranti,
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis.
Yes?
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes.
Next, motion to encumber $133,399.60 for invoice number 87970-00 for Perkins Eastman Architect DPC for May 2023 professional services. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes?
Mr. Ferranti.
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis.
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes.
Next, motion to approve a payment in the amount of $133,399.60 for invoice number 87970-00 for Perkins Eastman Architect DPC for May 2023 professional services. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes?
Mr. Ferranti.
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis,
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes.
Next, motion to encumber $21,000 for invoice number 28 for Left Field LLC for May 2023 professional services. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes?
Mr. Ferranti.
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis.
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor.
Yes.
Last but not least, motion to approve payment in the amount of $21,000 for invoice number 28 for Left Field LLC for May 2023 professional services. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes?
Mr. Ferranti.
Yes.
Mr. Kingston,
Yes.
Ms. Milbury Ellis.
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes.
Vote for reconsideration A through Y.
Please say that you were joking.
Oh. Yes, I'm hungry. I need to go.
Kids talking.
Okay. Number 10, unfinished business. Anything? Nope. Number 11, new business. A?
Yeah, this probably could have gone under motions. It's related to the communication that Matt Cruz sent regarding, it's just the way that the city collects and holds money for transportation costs. So just briefly, for those who are listening at home, the cost of transportation is a city expense. The school department runs the transportation department, and the accounting for that comes off of Schedule 19. One of the things that happened in the last couple of years is that the state legislature approved the reimbursement of transportation in addition to the way they reimburse us for circuit breaker costs. And basically, the short version of what that means is when it's super, super, super expensive to educate a particular child, the state reimburses us some of that money that we have to outlay for that out-of-school placement. And a few years ago, I think it was about 3 years ago, they changed the law and said, you know what, we'll include transportation costs in that. As we all know and have discussed many times, transportation costs have become out of this world. And so that's why the legislature approved the reimbursement of transportation in addition to school tuitions through that circuit breaker mechanism. And because the transportation is a city responsibility, what Mr. Viscay would like is for when the school department gets those circuit breaker checks for transportation, that they go into a revolving account on the city side and then get re-extracted without needing another appropriation when we need to pay for transportation. It's basically what we've done with that money anyway, since the beginning of time, but this is a provision that he'd like to see the school committee adopt.
Dr. Kelly, do you want me to read the motion so we can vote on it?
Sure.
Okay. Motion, in accordance with the request of Richard Viscay, Director of Finance, Auditor, and Budget Director for the City of Revere, that the Revere School Committee vote to adopt Mass General Laws 40, 2018/13E, which allows the establishment of a reserve fund for the receipt and distribution of Commonwealth of Mass transportation reimbursements without the need for further appropriation. So moved.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bronson Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. Ferranti,
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mrs. Milbury Ellis,
Yes.
Ms. Monteroso,
Yes.
Ms. Ty,
Yes.
Acting Mayor Keefe.
Yes. Okay. And nothing for executive session. We have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Okay.